everybody seemed to like that what's it worth video I did, so we're going to kind of build on that a little bit. Parts bikes, what are they worth? Should you have one? That's the question we're going to answer today. Got a call. Family member picked the bike up. He was the first of 11 in the first hour. The gentleman said that called him and tried to buy this bike. He had a little fun with me. He sent me a picture of just the ID sticker on the frame. 1984 200M. Now, 200M was only made for 2 years, 84 and 85. That's all he sent me. He made me wait for 2 days to see what this bike was. And I'm just going to tell the story like it happened. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He told me it was $600. It's like, well, that's kind of strong, you know. $600. I'm kind of expecting a pretty nice bike. I mean, he knows that, you know, $600 should be a bike that either looks really, really good and doesn't run, or a bike that runs and maybe don't look as good. That's about where $600 should net you. Well, he wraps it up with a tarp. He puts it on a trailer. He wraps it up on a tarp, and then he invites me over to come pick it up. So I go over and I pick it up, and he's excited. And this is family now. What do you say? Man went out of his way and bought a $600 bike. I owe him $600. That's what it means. He stands there like a proud daddy, and he pulls back the tarp and he says, "Look what I got." Okay. Well, let me show you what he brought me for $600. Whew. There it is. That is what's left of a 1984 200M. Y'all see that? That thing's been customized right there now. Customized. We are far beyond repair here. We have went from broken, past repair, all the way out to customized. That's right, customized right here. He's telling me that 11 people called this guy the first hour to buy this bike. And I'm hoping my uncle got 10 phone numbers, because we're going to call them and see if they'll give us $600 for it. That's what I was thinking. So I looked around it, and I'm trying to find how in the world am I going to get $600 recoup out of this pile of parts. Because that's what it is, it's just parts. The wiring harness is missing, it's been cut up, it's gone, pull cord's gone. This front sprocket looks like it's missing about 12 teeth. It's a mess. There's no bolts holding the starter in. This piece of wood here was shimmed between the starter and the frame. The front hub is actually from a 250 Big Red. I didn't even know that would fit. There's no key, there's no controls, there's no cables, no levers, no battery box, no fenders, no brakes, no nothing. There's just nothing here. So I think about how am I going to break it to my uncle that I'm going to pay him $600 because that's what he said he spent on my behalf. But I don't know how I'm going to come out of that on the back side. So I start looking at it really closely. Well, what are you going to do? So I started figuring it out. $600 bucks. Well, if you parted this bike out and you sold the parts online or local, you could actually make more than that back. And that's being serious. And that's why so many people part these bikes out. You can take a piece of equipment as fine as this and probably make a little more than $600 off of it. So let me show you how you do that. 84, 85, 200M seat as a plastic pan. Everybody wants a plastic pan because the metal pans you really can't reupholster. You can, but it's very tedious. The pans are rotted out, they're rusted out. The foam's taken on water and the pans are shot. This seat pan will fit an 82, 83, 84 Big Red, which is a very common bike, all of those, especially the 84, as well as the 85 and 84 Big 200M. So the seat alone is $150, $200 in this condition. If I reupholster it, put a nice quality Honda replica seat cover on this bike, on the seat, I could probably stand to get $250, $300 at just this part. Okay? So we're almost halfway there. Gas tank. This is not a 200M gas tank. This is a Honda Big Red 200cc gas tank. There are no holes in this tank. This tank is amazingly clean on the inside. It looks really good. There's some surface rust on it. You can't see that from here, but I'm telling you, it's nice. There's no JD Weld in this tank. There's no patches on this tank. All it really needs is to be cleaned up. And you could probably even buff a lot of this color out. You can put new graphics on this tank. You can spend about $40 on those stickers, which is kind of a lot, but that's what they cost. And you could sell this tank clean and in presentable, better condition than this for $250. $200, on a bad day. Depending on how fast you want to get rid of it. So now we're up to $500 in two components of this amazing machine we have sitting here. We got two rear flat track tires on the back on some actually nice looking wheels. They're rough, but they'll work. You get $20, $40 for the back tires and wheels on here. So now we're at $550. Engine, 200M engine is actually sought after. It's chain drive. It'll fit a 200X and give you electric start if you modify the frame. You could put this in any of your Big Reds, or your chain drive Big Reds, your 82, 83 Big Red. This would be a really cool upgrade if you wanted to make a 185S or a 200 with auto start. Now that's a lot more work. It's not bolting, but you could do it, and the engine's there. If you had a go-kart that you wanted to build with an electric start engine, this is really a nice engine to do that. It has the more traditional upshift pattern, which is what most of us are used to for riding four-wheelers. That engine alone, this engine actually pulls. It does have some compression to it. I'm sure it needs a rebuild, but that engine alone is worth $200. So there we go. We just broke our $600 price point. Now, you could break it down further than that. Those are all the big components. If you wanted to actually take the head off of it and the pull cord assembly, we know pull cord assemblies are $100 online. You go to eBay, pull cord assembly, $100. One that works, now you can get a really nice one for $200 if you can rebuild, and those are nice. Handlebars actually look like they're in pretty good shape. The front fender is trash. So this is a 200M front end. It's one of two bikes that offer a suspension front end with a 9-inch hub and wheel. So you could take this and put on an 82, 83, 84 Big Red and upgrade from a front suspension that was just really poor design that no longer works to an actual shock suspension front end. These front ends go for almost $200 online. So now you're looking at $800, $900. You can get 75 to $100 for the rear axle. As long as the axle's straight, it's worth $100. Hubs, another $20, $30, $40. You really start nickel and diming this. You can take this bike and probably make $1,000 off of it, parting it out, and still have scrap material to take to the scrapper. I doubt anybody really pay you for the chassis or the frame, but you never know. Somebody might need a frame. It's worth a shot. Try to sell the frame. Once you get everything off of it. If not, scrap it and make you another $2. It all adds up, and that's why people do it, and that's why there's a market for parts. Those of us that are trying to save them, we need parts bikes. Parts bikes have tremendous value. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I've kind of drug this out long enough. My uncle didn't give $600 for this, but that's what he told me. He yanked my chain a little bit, is what we say, and he gave $60 for this bike. Now let that sink in. He paid $60 for this bike, and I just rattled off $1,000 worth of parts on it. My uncle saw a lot of potential in this bike, and he knew that I would do something with it. And so he picked it up for me, and being at the right place at the right time meant everything in the world. Had he been 5 minutes later, somebody else would have scooped this up for 60 bucks. But right now, as long as I'm building them, I've learned that if I sell a part, that'll be the part I need the next. So I try not to sell parts that often, but sometimes I do. So there you go, parts bikes. You gotta have them. If you're rebuilding bikes and you're trying to use original equipment, nuts, bolts, hardware, and parts bikes where it's at. You gotta grab them. They're cheap. You can sell a couple of parts and keep the rest of it, and that's certainly a business plan too. You buy a bike like this for 60, you sell the seat off of it for 125 as is, or you fix that seat up with a new cover and you sell it for 250. You've made money on the front end, and then now you've got a parts bike that you can sit on for years to come. Try to keep it in dry storage somewhere. It'll last you a long time. Those parts will be there when you need them. So that's another way of what's it worth. You know, parts bikes have tremendous value to all of us, really, not just me. If you're building three-wheelers, if you're riding three-wheelers, there's gonna come a day when you need that part that's not made anymore. And you're gonna have to turn to, you know, an online source, or possibly even find your own parts bike and have your in-house parts. As always, thanks for watching, sharing, liking, and subscribing. I appreciate it. Got a big video coming up Father's Day weekend. I'm really happy about it. I'm pleased with it. I think you'll like it. It's something different. It's something I've never done before. It's taken me a couple of weeks to put it together, but I think it'll put a smile on your face. So y'all keep an eye out for that, and y'all take care. Bye.